So all your hard work in making amazing spreadsheets is going to pay off because now we're going to make some amazing graphs. So first we need to do is we need to go to our applications folder and we need to open up LoggerPro. So we're going to go down, we're going to open up LoggerPro. You're going to see this symbol right here. You can probably drag that to your desktop and find that that is going to be extremely important in working with spreadsheets and graphs. I'm going to quit out of that. Now I'm going to go back to our birthdays. We surveyed E block and we surveyed C block, didn't quite have time to survey F block yet, but we took a look at the effect of month on the popularity of the birthdays during that month. And we created basically our trial. E and C were both our trials, but we created this summary spreadsheet where we really wanted to find out the total number of birthdays between E and C. If we want to graph the total number of birthdays, we want to highlight from January and the number of birthdays in January all the way down to December, and we're going to Command C or we're going to copy. We're going to come over to this grid for LoggerPro. We're going to put our cursor in X1 and we are going to Command V. We're going to paste all of that data right into LoggerPro, and look at this, it creates an amazing graph. You can see all the points plotted, but there's definitely some things that are missing. If we go to our checklist of key components of a well-crafted graph, the very first thing we need is a title. So what we're going to do is we're just going to click right here in white space, and we have a space for our title. And it just so happens the second thing we need is a label, just like we needed back in our spreadsheet. So I'm going to put both the label and the title in this space. So I'm going to say this is figure C. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, give myself some spaces and say the effect of month, which is our IV, on the frequency of birthdays, which is our DV. And I am going to say okay. And look at that, there we go. We know our IV is month, frequency of birthdays is our DV. Now again, we are just paying attention to some things that we kept in mind during spreadsheets. Those are going to come up again now that we're creating some graphs. And take a look. As we look, our IV is always on the x-axis because it's the independent variable. Our DV is always on the y-axis. But we need to put some titles down here. So I am going to click on X over here, and our name for our x-axis is going to be month of the year. And I'm going to say done, and there we go, months of the year. Notice not all of our months show up. We're going to take care of that in a sec, but right now we need to label our y-axis, and our y-axis is going to say frequency or number of birthdays during that month, and we're going to say done. So we know that we've got our x-axis labeled, our y-axis labeled, and we need to know if this is more appropriately a scatter graph, a line graph, or a bar graph. And if we're taking a look at months of the year, that's not continuous. You can't have half of a month in between June and July. So this has to be categorical. Each month is its own category. So that means we have what kind of graph? Yes, a bar graph. So we're going to click into space again, and we're going to click on give us a bar graph. And we're going to say OK. And right away we get some beautiful bar graphs. Notice that we are missing some bars. Is that a mistake? No, because if we look over here, March and November both have 0 birthdays. Now, notice that all of our bars are kind of squished way down here. Let's go up and kind of stretch out our y-axis a little bit so that we are really taking advantage. We're just clicking on that y-axis and just holding and dragging. And our last month, December, is kind of chopped off, so let's bring that one in a little bit. Again, notice that some of our birthday months aren't showing up here. So again, click into white space. We're going to go to Axes Options, and we would like to click Make All Values Major Ticks. We're going to say OK, and there we go. We have got a beautiful graph. Let's take a look at our checklist. We've got our title, the effect of the IV on the DV. We've got a label, figure C. We know it's appropriately a bar graph. Our IV always goes on the x-axis, and our DV goes on the y-axis. It's important that we're showing the summary spreadsheet, not our trial data. We don't really need a key or a legend for this graph because we don't have that kind of information that we need to worry about. We don't need to worry about units because we know we're working in months of the year. We would need to include centimeters or degrees Celsius or miles if we were going to be doing that kind of information. And visually appealing, we've adjusted our axes a little bit to take care of making sure that it's a nice looking graph. Bravo! We've got a nice looking graph on our hands.